Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Joining us right now on Cattles Ramie this Monday afternoon is Coach Mike Brown. Coach, great to catch up with you. Always awesome to speak with you, and I appreciate your time. Let's start with De'Aaron Fox, the guy we were just talking about. What have you learned, Coach, that you might not have known or truly appreciated about Fox when you weren't coaching him night in and night out?
His ability to score really when he wants to. You have guys that are 6'8", 6'9", or the guys like in Steph Curry's case who can shoot from 25, 26 feet and get a million pick and rolls in certain situations. And then you got, like I said, guys that are Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard type guys, and then you got your centers, and you have a guard in Foxy who is not that big but is extremely quick, and he's stronger than what you realize. And because of that, he's able to get to where he wants to get to on the court to get a great look every time down the floor. And I knew he could score, but it's different when the game's on the line, the focus is on stopping you, and a guy still gets to his spot and scores a bucket when needed, especially at the efficiency level that he's doing right now.
Yeah, Coach, we talked about it earlier, and Nick just mentioned it now as we were bringing you on. Everybody in the arena at this point, because of how good he's been this season, knows in crunch time, De'Aaron Fox is getting the basketball. And not the first guy we've asked this about. How does he still get to the hoop and get the ball in the basket when the whole team knows what's coming?
The first thing is, obviously he has to have a special feel, special talent, to be able to do that. So we know Foxy has that. But now the next thing, which is extremely important, and it's a little underrated. It's almost like, Patrick Mahomes and his offensive line. Well, I couldn't tell you who any of those guys' names are, but I could tell you who Patrick's name is, his wife, his two kids, his dad, his mom, and his brother Jackson, who photobombed his interview after the game. I mean, I can tell you all about him, but not the offensive line. And I said that because the guys that are on the floor with Foxy, they do a tremendous job of spacing the floor. And they have to get to their spots quickly and be ready to shoot when he delivers that basketball, because if they aren't a threat and the floor is not spaced the right way, it's going to be 10 times harder for Foxy to get to the spots he wants to be effective at the end of a ball game.
Coach Brown with us. Coach, let's talk about your other all-star, because that's how good you guys have been so far this season. You've got two of them, Coach. Domas, we talked to you when you got hired, and kind of the vision we had was, all right, Jokic as that passing big man, even a little bit of Draymond Green in the system with the Warriors that you were, used to. What is Domas's greatest strength as a player in your system, how it's played out so far?
Obviously he's a guy that can do a lot, does a lot for us, but just his ability to facilitate. And I say facilitate because that includes his passing ability, but just as importantly, his ball handling ability in the open court or in the half court prior to making a pass. It gives us another dimension to this offense that a lot of teams don't have. And also because a lot of teams that don't have that type of playmaking big, it makes it hard when you go against the two or three guys or two or three teams that have those playmaking bigs, i.e. Draymond Green, i.e. Nikola Jokic, and you can throw Domas obviously in there. Those guys can get it off the glass, and now they're going coast to coast, and they're not going coast to coast just for themselves, which they can do. They're going coast to coast, and they're seeing the floor offensively 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody else. And that's what makes those guys, in my opinion, so effective, because you have to be able to slow them down and or stop them, because they're freight trains coming downhill, especially Jokic and Domas. And now when you send a second body at them just to slow them up from getting downhill to the rim, that's when their playmaking skill set comes into play.
Coach, I'm not trying to get you fined or anything, but there's a running joke on the TV broadcast with Mark and Kyle and Katie that the game doesn't start till Domas gets hit in the head or the face. Have you ever seen a guy who takes as much contact and as much of a beating and gets as few calls as Domas does out there?
That's the whole adage. I do think it's true. When you're a big, strong guy and you're impacting the game with your physicality, people think that you could take more abuse than others. I think that's part. I coached Shaq at the end of his career, and he used to get hit and hammered all the time. And again, it's one of those things. Just because he's bigger and stronger, you think that those types of guys could take more abuse. And hopefully it changes. The one thing I do know, Domas will be playoff ready no matter what. So the physicality ain't gonna bother him because he's been facing it all year.
No doubt. Coach Mike Brown with us on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. One more about Domas, Coach. Are you concerned at all about how much you guys have had to lean on him and the challenge of finding the backup five, the legit big backup five, to help him with some of those minutes? Concerned at all as this season goes on, how much he's doing and how much physicality is involved with that?
You always want to try to play your guys quote unquote less minutes than what they're playing. I think Domas is. If I had to guess, I hadn't looked in a while, but he's averaging right around 35 maybe, which at his age isn't bad. Obviously, with the way he plays and how he's getting hit and banged around in that paint area makes it tougher. But again, I said this about Foxy's performance against Dallas. Yeah, he's an all-star for a reason, and he gets paid the money he gets paid for a reason. And he has to figure out how he can continue doing what he's doing for us at a high level whenever we need him or whenever we call his number. And those guys have done it. Domas has continued to do it. He'll figure it out. And when there's an opportunity to get him some rest, we'll definitely get him rest as the season goes along.
I want to ask you about the rookie, Coach, because I've loved watching the growth of Keegan Murray, and I feel like you're obviously a huge key to that. And you just keep telling him, like, you can do more. There's more out there that you can do. How much of where Keegan is now and his ceiling, how much of that is him just realizing how good he is and how much he's capable of out there?
A lot of it. That probably right there is 70 to 75% of it, because he is skilled. I'm telling you, he is a skilled young man. And right now, he just gives our opponent a little too much respect at times. And he also gives his teammates a little too much respect at times. Sometimes he's got to be selfish and he's got to say, you know what? No, I'm taking over, or no, I'm going to go do this. But when he does it, he can't shy away from contact. He can't shy away from anything. He's got to go up, through, and over somebody with some sort of force to let not only that opponent know that I'm here, but also to let his teammates know that's the reason why I decided to take this shot, because I'm going through my man to finish this play. But you can see it when he brings the ball in transition. Sometimes he's a little gun shy when he could bring that thing and initiate our offense just like the next person on our team. And I think that the experiences this year, playing with Foxy, playing with Domas, playing with HB will get him more comfortable sooner than later as time goes on.
Coach Mike Brown with us here, Cattles Ramie, Sactown Sports. Coach, just a few more for you. Some dramatic swings defensively this season. I go back to Friday night, 45 points for the Mavs in the first quarter. And then in the second half, just much better defensively. Have you been able to pinpoint why the dramatic swings this year on that end of the floor?
Yeah, a lot of it is we're just not quite ready. You always want to be ready or be better sooner than later. But this thing takes a process, and I have to keep coaching them hard. I have to keep helping them grow, and they have to also keep embracing it the way that they are. But you have to be able to do this over an extended amount of time, or you have to have a few guys on your team that are high-level defenders and that have done it over time. And not only high-level defenders have done it over time, but high-level defenders that have done it over time at a playoff level.
Right.
And so all of those things, it usually doesn't add up statistically, or you can't see it statistically all the time. It's just a feel, a vibe, and understanding, and the ability to go out there and do it consistently. If there's one thing that I would say we have to try to figure out how to do is to do it consistently. And like I said just a minute ago, it takes some time and some experience to be able to put those things together. And then going against teams or being in an environment like we were the last couple of nights against the Mavericks.
Coach, one of the most enjoyable things about this team this year has been the chemistry of these guys, the togetherness of these guys. And you can preach that a lot, but you just don't know how guys are going to gel and get along and mesh until they all get in a locker room and get out on a court together. When did you know that this was real, that something is set in as far as the chemistry and the camaraderie of these guys?
When I tell you what, I felt we had a chance with it in the summertime because we had suggested to guys time to time, from time to time, hey, you guys could do this, or you guys could do that if you want. If you guys got to take the lead on it and get it all organized. We'll help you as best we can. We'll have coaches there if you guys need coaches there. Anytime you guys get together, and so when we started seeing that. For instance, Domas has a place in Napa, and we had 9 or 10 guys come out to Napa and stay in a hotel close to where he lives, and they worked out for 3 straight days. Not only did they work out together for 3 days, but they also had dinner, both nights that they were there together, and breaking bread, working out with your teammate at a time that you don't have to. Not only that. Napa's not, L.A. It's not Vegas. And what I mean by that, it's not really easy to get to.
Right.
A little bit of effort to get there, and then also to want to be there too, because not every young person enjoys wine, or the scenery. So for those guys to be able to get together, then we had a group of guys come out to Vegas, and 10, 11 of them, however many it was, they went and watched Keegan and Nene and, Keon, the rookies play in the summer league and support them there. And then they went to dinner and Top Golf and some other things. When you start seeing that, especially when guys don't have to be there or they're not required to be there in the off season, okay, this group has a chance. And then there was carryover come training camp. And then, obviously seeing them on the court together early on and talking to them, you really get a feel that you have a chance to be connected, which is extremely important.
I've got one more for you, Coach. There have been a number of changes to the minutes for the guys off the bench, and obviously we were kind of waiting around to see what would happen at the trade deadline. There's still the buyout market. But do you feel like you have a firm grasp on your 8 to 9 man rotation heading into this All-Star break, or do you still feel like there's got to be some things answered?
No, I feel pretty good about the group of 8 to 9 players. But having said that, I think we can go, a little bit deeper than 8, 9 players at times, and that's why it's been good. Whenever it seems like we've had an injury or something like that, or even I hadn't called a guy's number in 6 or 7 games. And I just throw them out there. The way that those guys have stepped up and performed has been at an extremely high level, and that's what you need with any good team. One of the things that Steve told me, Steve Kerr, and Pop was the same way. They used to, from time to time, we had set rotations, but from time to time, they'd throw the 12th guy out there and give them some real minutes, not just at the end of a blowout, whether you're getting beat big or you're winning big in the last 2 minutes of the game, but in the second quarter, kind of like how I did Keon the other night.
Yeah.
Just kind of throw them out there, because what that does, it keeps those guys that do a lot of stuff behind the scenes for this team to help them win, but it keeps those guys engaged. It lets them know that I got to keep working because my work's going to pay off, because one of these times coach is going to throw me in there and shoot. If I play well, I might play for about 8 straight minutes, and then who knows what can happen after that. So to throw a guy out in a game, or to give them, quote unquote bone every once in a while, it is great for team morale, because it keeps everybody 1 through 17 engaged from time to time.
What are you doing for the All-Star break, Coach? Any plans?
So my dad, he's 82, 83 years old, and he's in San Antonio, and I didn't get a chance to see him the last time we were there because of weather. He doesn't do well on the road, so I'm gonna fly to San Antonio and hang with him and my mom and the rest of his family for a few days before coming back and relaxing in Sacramento.
Well, we all know it's a grind this season, so safe travels. Enjoy the time with the family during the break, and let's do this again soon, Coach. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys. Y'all take care.
All right, thank you.